So today's setup talked about the possibility of some strong tornadoes and widespread catastrophic damaging winds. We had a 15% SIG 1 tornado risk over this moderate and a extremely rare SIG 60% wind risk that hasn't been used in over a decade. It was thought that this might be a day to remember for the people out here in the East, and ironically it turned out to be a day that many forecasters would like to forget, as this definitely did not happen at all. We ended up getting quite a few wind reports, but nothing near what we thought the intensity of the wind would be. A lot of these are only for close to barely severe gusts, only at about 60 miles an hour, and only about 2 tornado reports, and it didn't even come in the main 15% risk area. So the main question is, what happened? We also did see the South see a little bit more of a uptick in wind reports. Not super surprised by that. I don't think that was highlighted that well in the thread, but definitely a couple of things happened that forecasters didn't really foresee, or they did, but they still wanted to highlight it because they thought there was still a decent chance of severe weather. So first and foremost, this is what our storms look like out here today. I'm going to highlight our main risk area real quick from parts of Pennsylvania back down into South Carolina. Here we go. And immediately, this does not look organized to any degree whatsoever for a moderate risk. We're seeing loads and loads of prefrontal convection that grew upscale very, very quickly and turned out to be messy and really just ate up the environment, kept this area cloudy during the day. This was from a prefrontal trough, a couple of confluence lines as well. And because of those parallel to our boundary shear vectors, we did not see much come out of this at all. Also, same down here, looking a bit more south. There definitely were better thermodynamics in place, but we also had some shear vectors that were very parallel to our boundary that significantly lowered the tornado threat and made it primarily a wind threat, which ended up not being that strong. So in this, we didn't even see a main QLCS, which was kind of thought to be a little bit more certain by a lot of people, but the ingredients or the damage that this warning convection did to our warm sector was immense, and we really didn't see anything that looked organized except this very skinny line that ended up being right along the cold front as we went right into the evening hours. This did produce a couple of severe gusts, but it wasn't really anything that high, only in a couple of isolated areas over 60 miles an hour. And then once again, only one tornado. So the main culprit here, or one of the main culprits, is that there was already thought that there wasn't going to be a ton of moisture or instability out in our main region, but at least we would have some crazy kinematics from our trough. Well, our trough decided to sit back quite a bit further west than expected and didn't eject and take that full negative tilt until after our storms were done for the day and this environment had already been spent. So that is the main thing there. And then, of course, this is a look from our cape through pretty much the entire day. And we can see that widespread, there was only up to about 250 joules per kilogram of, or around 500 cape. And with the kinematics that weren't really that present, not a whole lot going there. Also, you can see those parallel shear vectors pretty much all the way up. That's why we didn't see any discrete convection with all of that prefrontal stuff, which ended up just being mess and really destroying the environment. So overall, definitely a good thing that we didn't see this environment grow upscale to nearly as much of a degree as we thought it would produce originally. But overall, definitely a day that a lot of forecasters would like to have a chance to redo. But on top of this, we are about to see a massive pattern shift. And as you can see, today we have no thunderstorms forecast, and at least for the rest of the foreseeable week, that's what's going to happen. And the main culprit here is that there is going to be a massive ridge coming into the US, or otherwise known as a high pressure system coming off through the Pacific. It's going to sit out west, and it is really going to shoo away a lot of these big troughs from coming down digging in and bringing more severe weather. And this is a pattern that's going to stay in place until probably late March. So we're going to get at least a week and a half off of severe weather of any kind before we see anything. I'll show you our moisture. Now it looks like our moisture isn't really going to recover for quite some time. You can see how depleted out here the Gulf is. We're only seeing dew points in where we never see regularly up to 70 dew points. We're only seeing low 50s. So it's going to take some time to recover. But as you can see, as we go close to March 25th, even March 22nd, we see a couple of moisture plumes come up, but we don't really see that big moisture return till around March 26th, and we get those big warm sectors back again. So even with that, still not really seeing troughs reach down as far because we still have that big high pressure out west. But then things definitely start to change, and then there's that possibility for some severe weather back towards the end of March and then into April as well. Definitely not going to exclude the possibility of a couple of strong events before March ends, but that's just what the weather pattern is going to look like. So expect a lot of calm weather. Definitely a good break. Definitely glad that we're getting a break from severe weather. It's been a very active start to March. Looks like mid-March. It's going to cool down quite a bit though. Then we'll see a uptick near the end of the month.